Welcome back, everyone, to today's Explainer. We've got an absolutely fantastic classic historical tale lined up for you today. We're heading straight to the royal courts of ancient India to hang out with the legendary King Krishnadevaraya and his famously witty, incredibly wise advisor, Tenali Rama. The story is called The Light of Wisdom and the Priceless Gift, and trust me, its message is literally just as relevant today as it was centuries ago. Okay, let's dive into this. What is the most valuable gift? It's one of those big philosophical questions that's just baffled people for generations, right? We so often confuse the actual price tag of an object with its intrinsic value. But are they really the same thing? This story sets up the ultimate mystery of value versus price. And it all kicks off at a very, very expensive party. Section 1. The King's Grand Birthday. So, picture this. Imagine the most extravagant, opulent birthday bash you can possibly think of. The royal court is absolutely overflowing with sheer material wealth. We're talking kings, wealthy merchants, and courtiers who have traveled from far and wide just to present the most lavish gifts imaginable to King Krishnadevaraya. They're bringing in heavy gold crowns, blinding diamonds, priceless jewels, and the finest, most precious silk garments. The sheer financial value sitting in that one room is just staggering. Everyone who is anyone is basically trying to outdo each other with their wallets. Section 2. Tenali Rama's Unique Gift. Now, you have to understand, Tenali Rama isn't just your average courtier. He is widely renowned as the smartest, most clever man in the entire kingdom. So as you can imagine, the expectations for his gift are absolutely sky-high. Yet, while everyone else is eagerly pushing their way forward with massive, glittering chests of treasure, Tenali just stands there, completely empty-handed. It's this stark visual contrast. You've got this sea of gold and jewels, and then there's Tenali, standing quietly with literally nothing in his hands. Well, the king notices this, smiles, and asks his favorite advisor what he brought for the big occasion. Tenali just folds his hands respectfully and makes a very specific request. He says, "Maharaj, accept my gift at the very end." It's such a calm, grounded statement in the middle of all this birthday chaos. He is deliberately building up the suspense here. He wants the king to see every single piece of exorbitant wealth first before he reveals his own offering. Finally, after the last diamond has been admired and the last silk cloth folded, Tenali Rama steps forward. The whole room goes completely quiet. And what does the smartest man in the kingdom present? A small, simple clay lamp. That's it, just baked earth. Compared to the literal mountains of gold and silk that just pass before the king's eyes, this tiny, ordinary object seems almost comical. Section 3. The Courtier's Mockery. You can almost hear the immediate eruption of mocking laughter bouncing off the palace walls. The courtiers are just in complete disbelief. They're pointing and whispering, saying, "A simple clay lamp for such a great king?" To them, you see, it's not just a cheap gift, it's a massive insult. It is pure audacity. They're thinking, how could anyone offer something so utterly worthless to a monarch who literally already has everything? Well, even the king is genuinely surprised. He looks down at this cheap piece of clay and asks, "What is so special about this?" And honestly, the king is acting as a proxy for all of us right now. We're probably all wondering the exact same thing. Why on earth would the brilliant Tenali Rama risk insulting the king with a lump of clay? Section 4. The True Meaning of the Gift. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the direct, stark contrast between these two types of offerings. On one side, we have material wealth, the shiny gold crowns, the big diamonds. But on the other side, we have simple utility, the humble clay lamp. Tenali Rama is pointing out a really profound truth here. All that gold and all those diamonds are stunning? Yes, absolutely. But their only real destiny is to be locked away. They'll just sit in a dark vault somewhere, entirely useless in day-to-day life. The clay lamp, on the other hand, represents active, practical utility. Tenali explains this reasoning to the king, and his words are incredibly powerful. He says, "Gold and diamonds will only adorn your vault, but this small lamp will dispel darkness wherever it burns." I want you to take a second to really let that sink in. The greatest gift isn't something that just sits around accumulating dust and monetary value. The greatest gift is something that actively brings light to others. It pushes back the darkness. The entire court just falls completely silent. The king doesn't say a word for a moment. Instead, he reaches out, takes the simple clay lamp, and personally lights it. As the small flame flickers to life, its light slowly spreads across the grand royal court. It's this beautiful, quiet moment of action. Visually and metaphorically, it symbolizes the entire court transitioning out of the darkness of ignorance and materialism right into the light of true enlightenment. And this brilliantly illustrates the king's massive epiphany. Looking right at the flame, the king says, "Today I received the most valuable gift. Not the price of the object, but the thought behind it makes it priceless." He gets it. He completely understands that true value is defined by the intention, the thought, and the actual utility of the gift, not the arbitrary price tag slapped on it by merchants. The king is just overwhelmed with gratitude for this unexpected life lesson. He steps forward and warmly embraces Tenali Rama, praising his unmatched intellect. And those courtiers who were laughing and mocking him just a few moments ago? Yeah, they are now standing in absolute awe. The mockery instantly turns into profound respect, and the entire court erupts into thunderous applause. Section 5. The Priceless Life Lesson. So, the crucial point is, how do we actually apply this ancient wisdom to our own modern lives? Let's summarize the key takeaways here. First up, value is not found in the price tag. In our heavily materialistic world, it is so easy to judge a gift or even a person's worth by how much money was spent. But guys, that is a trap. Second, the giver's emotion and intent are what truly matter most. A thoughtful, inexpensive gesture carries far, far more weight than a thoughtless, expensive one. And third, true value comes from actively bringing light to others. Ask yourself, are you contributing something useful? Are you dispelling darkness in someone else's life? Because that, right there, is the absolute highest form of giving. Let's wrap up with this lingering, provocative thought to challenge your own personal values today. What would you prefer to give? Gold for the vault or light for life? The next time you find yourself thinking about value, remember King Krishnadeva Raya, Tenali Rama, and that simple little clay lamp. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep seeking the light of wisdom in everything you do.